Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Happy Monday. Welcome into the morning hookup. Bill Hooks, Elijah Herbal, YZ, Dr. Dane Todd in the house. Hope your weekend we had a great weekend. Welcome back on a Monday. Start off your Monday right with us. Thanks for hanging out. A lot to get to. It's Big Ten Media Week. Here we go. We're getting close to football. We'll talk Big Ten Media. Preseason polls are out. Some storylines at Big Ten Media Days. We've got Major League Baseball. Trade deadline this week, right? No, next week. But talk about the weekend for teams that are buyers and sellers. We'll talk about that. Some amazing stats coming out. The Red Sox stay hot, continue to rise. Talk a little golf. Golf is getting up and exciting right now. From if you watched yesterday, the winner, talk about the winner, the rookie in his 13th PGA start. And they're getting up to the top 70. Only the top 70 make the playoffs. So there's some talk there. Evan Bland with Omaha World Herald will join us in hour number 2. Talk baseball and football with Evan. And a lot of that. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Fisherman Dr. Dane Todd.
Yeah, I've been gone for a long time now. It got back about midnight last night, so a little rough. Boy. Yeah, a little rough. That's okay. But it was good. It's nice being away. It's good to be back.
Flying or driving?
We drove. It would have taken us about the same amount of time to fly on this one because a little shorter than my other trip, and so it wasn't bad by any means. It's just, you roll in at midnight regardless.
Is it the same thing where you're like, oh, jacked up driving out, and you're like, oh, gotta go home?
Oh yeah. You're sitting there in the car ride on the way back. It's a lot quieter than the car ride on the way there.
It's a lot to talk about on the way out.
Yeah. Catching up with everybody, and then by the time you're on the way back, it's like, oh man, let's just get there.
I've had enough.
Yeah. Can we go 1 mile an hour faster?
You weren't driving?
No. I picked up one of our buddies. Well, one guy's brother here in Lincoln. We drove up to Omaha and hopped in his brother's truck and took that up. It was funny though because it's thank God he's got an older truck. Not older, right? But like you get to the high end model of pickup trucks, right?
Yeah.
And you've got the center console, right? You keep that baby on the lower end model of pickup trucks, and you got the front bench seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we picked up our buddies in the Winnipeg airport, we picked up 2 guys. We were rolling 3 in front and 3 in back in that pickup truck for about an hour and a half, and it was like old times. It was tight squeeze, man. It was tight squeeze. So jockeying for position there. But
I got the one where I had the center console that then flips up and turns into a center.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It was perfect. Worked out great.
Never comfortable though.
Yeah, no,
never comfortable.
3 in the front's never comfortable.
Never comfortable.
Also, welcome back, Elijah, from your trip in Breck, which you probably had better weather than we had here. Man, it was hot.
Oh yeah, I was getting like the notifications on my phone of like dangerous heat advisory issued for Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm like, thank God I'm not there.
Take it seriously because we were there today again for at least one more day. Heat index is rising to 115.
It was 72 degrees. Real feel like 72 degrees out in Breckenridge.
Yeah. Feel bad for them, don't you?
It's the
don't you? Why is it? We feel bad for them in their 72-degree weather.
Yeah. Congratulations
on
your vacation.
No humidity.
Good job.
But the altitude though,
it makes it a little warmer.
That crush you?
Whenever you're hiking, I'm not sweating, but I'm out of breath. It
was hard for us. Problem.
Yeah.
Hiking.
It
was hard for us up there.
Reeks of major effort.
Reeks of effort.
You don't like hiking?
I mean, sure, but it still reeks of effort.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you gotta
I can like things, but still realize it requires way too much effort.
That's okay.
Yeah. That's a great statement.
Oh,
I like a lot of things, but some of you are like, nope.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm just like, yeah.
I did it yesterday. Like, I love playing golf. We snuck out yesterday. Took the boys. The boys want to go play. I'm like, well, here's the deal, boys. I'll go play. It's 9 holes only. As much as I love to play golf, 9 holes only. We got to go off before 10:30. Got up, went to church, breakfast, and we went off at 10:20. It was like we played 9 holes, took 2 hours, perfect time, full on drenched. Like we had cold towels. Like it's crazy at that time in the morning. You got cold towels.
Yeah,
but I think it was. I think when we teed off as something like 86 degrees and it felt like 101. Disgusting. That's such a hard time yesterday, like regulating my body temperature after I got done.
Yeah, we drove back from Canada yesterday, and when we got in the plane to begin with, right, it was 60 degrees. when we landed up there in Canada, it was like 65. By the time we were in North Dakota, it was 103. It was like, what are we doing here, man? It was
Yep.
It was brutal.
Yep. Welcome.
Yeah. But guess what? It's great for the HVAC guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's also it's both a blessing and a curse for them right now, though, right? Turns out there's a lot of like uh-ohs happening.
Yeah, but you know what? Be patient with them.
Yeah.
Because they're busy. Like
They're
everybody's busy, but like this is their time where unfortunately there's like issues that pop up at home or your HVACs and things like that. They're going to get there when they can.
Yep.
It's an unfortunate situation.
Maybe turn that thermostat up a bit.
Or pull up a YouTube video. There's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that can help you do some little things to help out.
The last thing I'm doing because I'm going to make it worse.
Well, I was driving back. One of my buddies we go up with, he's a construction guy, and he was like, yeah, those HVACs, and take this with a grain of salt, right? Because I don't know if this is true. He said those things are really only supposed to change the temperature about 25 degrees or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I better call my wife and tell her to turn that thermostat up. So
yeah. So it's tough. It's tough out there for them right now, and everybody in construction and working outside, things like that. And it gets heat. Also, just pump the brakes a little bit. Heat makes people angry and like agitated and anxiety. So just cool off.
Yeah, without a question.
Take an extra beat.
Yeah.
Big Ten Mini Days, where they get underway Wednesday, Thursday out in Chicago. Is that right? Chicago. Sorry, I feel like it's Chicago all the time. I feel like everything in Chicago. Big Ten Media Days going. Nebraska will take the stage on Thursday with Coach Rule and the 3 players that are going out there. Preseason polls are starting to come out. So last week, then we talked about the schedule and expectations of schedule without picking a record yet. ESPN FPI index, it does have you approximately 8-4 based on the model of percentage of chance to win. One of those games is a 50-50 game pretty much, but it's out there. But then you see today, just to draw the relationship when you look at where we're at, and again, Nebraska fans and probably all the fans around the country, when you see preseason polls, it kind of gives you a little anxiety when you look at it. You're hoping you see your team on the first line, and you don't right now. Nebraska, 18-team league, 16th season, by the way. It's crazy to think it's their 16th season coming up in the Big Ten. 11th in the Big Ten. 1, 2, 3, 6 of your opponents are in the top 9, and you're not. Thoughts? Did you guys ever get into? I mean, you probably saw them. Did it provide motivation or anything like that, or did you even care? Because I know that this could be one of those where it's like you're 11th and you see, again, teams that you're going to see at the top, what you're expected to see at the top. Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, those are the top 3 coming in. But then you got you play Washington at home. Is that Halloween night or Halloween whenever? Washington. You've got Iowa at 8. You play them again on Black Friday. You've got Illinois. Currently, you play Friday night, November 6th. And then there you are. And then the other opponents you got on your schedule, you'll see the likes of Maryland, Michigan State, Rutgers, 15, 16, 17.
I mean, if I were to break this up, top 3 is obviously its own thing.
Yep.
Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana are the 3 teams that have been picked to go be college football playoff teams. There's not much disagreement across the country who the top 3 in the Big Ten are this year. And then I'd break it up to 4 through 8.
Yep.
And then probably 9 through 12, then everyone else.
Yeah,
I break it up more into tiers than number. So they have Nebraska sitting in that 3rd tier of Big Ten teams.
Agree.
No, I don't disagree.
I mean, what have we done to prove that we got some transfer players? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that should bump us up at least 12 spots. Right. We've done literally nothing to prove that we're doing that. Like, I don't think anybody's got illusions of beating Oregon and Indiana this year, right? Like,
if there was an illusion of one of those, who would it be?
Oregon or Indiana? Oregon.
Right.
I was gonna say it was Indiana.
No, it's Oregon.
You think the illusion of that you could beat Oregon at Oregon?
Yeah, that would be the illusion. Yeah, be some David Copperfield stuff.
I mean,
David Blaine.
I look at this.
I forgot about that.
As we talked about this last week. If you go and beat the teams that are in your neighborhood or that you're expected to beat, 8-4 is realistic this year.
Yeah, and you can.
But the problem is over the past decade, and during the Matt Rule era, it's not a guarantee you go beat the teams that you're supposed to beat and you beat the teams in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. That's what the season comes down to for me. And if you can go and do that, you're not going to be finishing 11th in the Big Ten this year. But I'm also not going to sit back and say this is like the Husker basketball team this year where it's a disrespect, man, they're just not paying attention. 11 feels like a fair place to be right now based on what we saw at the end of last year, based on the fact that this offseason has kind of felt like a reset of the program where, hey, what you tried the last 2 years, the 5-star quarterback, didn't work out for you. Mm-hmm. So we're going to change the identity, both offensively and defensively. It's a bit of a reset year this year. There's no disrespect in 11. There's no, man, they're not paying attention. 11 feels fair, but at the same time, if you can go take care of business against the teams that are around you in this poll or you're above in this poll, you can realistically finish this year 8-4 and no one will I think, go into the offseason hanging their head in Husker Nation. You'll say, okay, that's something you can build upon.
Do you think 8-4 is a ceiling or is that like a realistic benchmark?
Ceiling. You want to be honest here.
I think it's closer to a ceiling than a benchmark.
Yes, it's close. There you go. A better way to put it. It's closer to the ceiling.
Yeah. I think most people realistically would tell you that they would be absolutely shocked if we were 9-3 at the end of this season. Shocked, right? So I'd go ceiling on that too.
Well, you're 9-3. That means you've beaten a couple of teams you should not.
So that means you
got
Indiana. It means you beat Washington, you've beat Iowa,
and maybe Indiana at home.
Well, that would then give you a loss somewhere against a team that you're better than. But beat Washington, beat Iowa, beat Illinois. Those are the teams that are kind of around you in the neighborhood. And then you lose to your Indiana, Oregon, Ohio States. And that would involve then a win over Maryland, Michigan State, Rutgers, those teams near the bottom of the Big Ten. Go and do that. 9-3. But I don't think there's confidence that this year's Nebraska team will have taken the stride that allows them to go beat Iowa. It's not that you're not as talented as this Iowa football team. It's just that it's the same stories it's been every single year. As November rolls along, they're a team that is strong along the lines of scrimmage. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. And whenever they're playing in a one-score game, they're comfortable late. They always find a way to win.
Well, that involves you beating 3 of those teams that are in the next tier above you or in your little tier. That involves you. That actually, what that does, it involves you beating the teams that you should be competitive with. Yes. And any team that there's a coin flip or slightly different percentage chance, you have to come out on top on that game in order to get to a record that used to be the standard. Used to.
When you look at this Nebraska team, obviously we're getting a Big Ten media days. We're looking at fall camp. We're talking about record. We're talking about preseason. Which side of the ball do you need to be convinced on?
Offense
to get to that record.
I mean,
and I wrote it down. I wrote down one spot pretty much.
I don't know. The defensive line with the pass rush, like any sort of pressure occurring, and then, oh man, offensive line. Honestly, it's just a line play that has to convince me. Line play.
I'm closer to a believer in the offensive line. I need to see it, especially in game. Michigan State and Maryland are 2 games where I need to see it from the offensive line. I don't think Oregon and Indiana necessarily litmus tests. Those defensive lines can be really, really good. Can you hold your own against them? That'd be a win. But I need to see it from the offensive line against Michigan State and Maryland. The defensive line, I mean, you'd love to get some pass rush, but you need to earn the right to pin your ears back. You need to get to 3rd and 7. That involves stopping the run. I got a lot of questions about that defensive line, that front 7. What can they end up being? That is to be determined. But it's going to be a schematic change both offensively and defensively, with names now being thrust in that we have seen in very limited action in a spring game or at other schools. A lot of questions. I don't think we're going to know a lot about this team until probably week 4, week 5. That's where we're going to start to get our questions. We're still 2 months away from, I think, knowing what this team is.
Then question for you, because I know, again, I agree with all what you guys are saying, which groups. Because these teams, offensive identity, number 1, I threw out there for that. But quarterback, all eyes on the quarterback. And the reason I say that is because obviously we're coming past the 5-star quarterback, the legacy name. You thrust in a guy like Calandria into this. How much you guys, and I think I know the answer to this, but you play with maybe in probably the toughest quarterback in the history of Nebraska football. How much influential of that guy, Zach Taylor, was the identity of toughness? Because Nebraska football offensively is not defined as toughness right now.
No.
And I wrote down quarterback because of that, because you played with the toughest guy in the pocket, maybe in the history of Nebraska football.
Years and years and years, right? Like, and I will. That is a hill I will die on, right there.
Zach got beat up, man.
Yeah, I got beat up. Well, it sets a tone for everybody else, of somebody who's willing to stand in there and take it in the chin, right? And I think that's a big part of creating an identity. Is the person who's touching the ball on every single play needs to have that same kind of mindset. If you're scared to get hit and you're going down and scrambling and running like a crazy person at all times just to try to keep people away from you. And I don't, there's a certain amount of scrambling, right, that you will end up having to do, but scrambling when it's unnecessary and or scrambling anytime you think you're going to get touched, that's going to not bode well, because what ends up happening then is that trickles forward, if you will, to the line play, because then you don't know where that guy's going to be, and you can't plan for that and block around that. And there was a play when we played Texas where it was the long run that Brandon Jackson scored a touchdown on. Okay. In that game that we lost, thanks to the last second fumble. But on that play, I'm running off to do my assignment. Well, Brandon gets, kind of tied up in the backfield and ends up way out wide. I'm completely out of position to block the guy I'm supposed to be blocking. He's running somewhere else. It's if the people behind you aren't where they're supposed to be, you can't do it, right? And so that certain amount of toughness and standing in there and just taking it once in a while is going to be necessary to keep this line going.
I just brought that up because I know this team needs to have an MO. We talked about that last week. You can't define Nebraska football in one single word the last few years.
No.
I mean, you could say underachieving. I mean, that's a word, but we don't have a word that is descriptive of a unit.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Which is, I think, the overall problem for Nebraska football. You look at the teams, like all those teams listed on that list, and we're not going to go through, but we went through the exercise last week, right? You gave me a team. You're like, what's the first thing that comes to you?
Bowling Green.
Not that. It was the Big Ten. We went through Big Ten teams, and you can, like, if I said, just for instance, if I said Ohio State.
Yeah.
There's words. Athletic.
Yeah.
Real. They're tough in the trenches, all of us, like, right?
Elite quarterback.
Yeah. Iowa.
Tough.
Like, and then you go Nebraska. You can't. I mean, you could almost say it with other teams. Like, Rutgers. They got a pretty dang good coach. They have some definition, right?
Yeah, they're tough.
They're tough.
Not super talented, but they're tough.
And this has nothing to do with wins and losses. This is who the team is.
I think Nebraska's fake tough.
I don't even know.
I think they want to be.
They wanted to be the paper champs for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not the last 4 years problem.
No.
Right?
No.
It's a last 20 years problem.
Yep. This team has just not been defined by any specific word or any specific unit.
And it's going to be, I think, if we're ranking the top questions as we go through fall camp, what is Matt Rule? What is Dana Holgerson? What is Rob Orich going to have to answer all preseason camp long? It's going to be, how's that defense looking? Is the defensive line holding up? Is the offensive line, is it cohesive? Can you bring together with three transfers together? Can they get it going along with the run game? Because there's questions about that running back room. The questions are going to be about, is this offensive line in this running back room? And hey, Calandria too, he's a scrambler. Are they running the ball effectively? What does the run game look like? And then defensively, is the defensive line able to hold their own? Those are the biggest questions entering camp. Yep. And in the Big Ten, that's a scary place to be entering camp.
Yep. Big Ten Media Days, Wednesday, Thursday. Nebraska will take it on Thursday. We're not going to learn anything, by the way. It's just a little song and dance that they get to do to open up football season for Nebraska in their 16th season in the Big Ten. So, and our own Chris Schmidt will be up there giving you some live updates and reporting as we get through the week. So let's take our first break. We'll come back. I've got an injury question to talk about, and then talk a little baseball as well when we return.
He's just over the age of 40. He's over the age of 16. Shock.
Do we have to go to that meeting at noon? Or join that meeting at noon?
There's a meeting at noon?
Yeah, there's a call or something, and
it says all on-air talent.
The suit, but then there was
that might exclude you then.
There was a rebuttal. There was a rebuttal email.
Smoked him.
There was we were asked to all be on the call. There was a rebuttal that came back from someone else that said for part-time team members in this group, the call will be recorded for time-shifted viewing as needed.
Cool. I don't think I got any of these emails.
Let's see. Elijah.
When was this email sent?
Well, the suit sent it to Lincoln Air Staff on the 24th.
I didn't get it. Am I not Air Staff?
Maybe I'll just join it and stay clocked in so I can get paid.
Boom!
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I didn't get this email.
Let me
so
forward this to you, Elijah.
No, it's okay.
Oh no, you need to be well aware.
Oh no, I did not see that email. Sorry guys, I couldn't join the meeting.
Just want you to be aware. It is, like I said, it is going to be recorded.
Hey Hooks, that 21-year-old, he can play some golf, man.
Woo, we got to talk about him later.
Oof.
Talk about him later. He's pretty good, huh? I watched that entire. That's what I was watching after I got done overheating with my boys playing golf.
Now, granted, course probably helped him out a little bit, but still, he's talented.
Oh, he's so talented. There's a ton of good stats on. Right here. Right here, Nick. Big weeks coming up for some guys golfing too, by the way. Big week coming up.
Eric Levy's wife shot a couple home.
What?
In Virginia.
Yeah, I got that notification.
I didn't get that. Oh, maybe that's what this is. No, I didn't get that one yet either. Oh, there it is. See it? Noted. Welcome back in the morning hookup. Happy Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stay cool out there. You don't have to be outside. Don't be outside.
No, don't go outside for any purpose or reason.
Would you also say this is the part where you don't need your mail today? Just too hot. Get to the mailbox.
Yeah, but that's mostly like a I'll get out of breath walking there kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying, as opposed to a I'll fall down kind of thing. In the winter, it's an I'll fall down thing. Yeah. Right now, it's more of a it's just uncomfortable.
Just take a cold beverage with you on your way to the mailbox.
I mean,
water.
Yes. Maybe a little electrolyte powder in there.
Today's like trash day for us. We got to get trash recycling out. Man.
Yeah. I got home real late last night, so I just left my fishing gear all packed up. I put it out on the back patio this morning. It's just going to live there today.
Yeah, it's there.
I didn't unbag it. I didn't take it out of the bags or anything. It's just simmering. It's going to be really, really bad.
Doc, I want to ask you about some hips, man.
All right.
Hips don't lie.
Hips don't lie. Not hip replacements.
Not according to Shakira.
No.
Mm-mm.
So you're at the World Cup?
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw her at the World Cup.
Aging gracefully.
Aging very gracefully.
She don't need no hips.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Hips and labrums.
Yep.
I think we talk like, and why I bring it up is because I think labrums are like, some people might think arms a lot or whatever, but there is that situation in a hip. Talk about that, the repair for that. And my question would be is, if you have one done, what are the chances or percentage you have of the other one done?
All right. So one of my favorite topics,
hips.
Because it is one of the least well understood topics in orthopedics in general. 98% of orthopedic surgeons have no clue what they're talking about when they talk about it. And I'll be more than happy to tell everybody that. Okay. And 99% of other physicians have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about it. Okay. So yeah, your hip joint's a ball and socket. It has a labrum around it. Okay. Everybody freaks out when they get an MRI of their hip for any reason about that labrum that's torn. You got a torn labrum. Okay. And to the point where I joke about it, that it's the labral tear of death, because everybody's going to die the second they have it. Okay. Well, there was this incredible study done in Colorado about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, where they took normal 16-year-olds in high school. Okay. Just absolutely normal 16-year-olds with absolutely no hip pain, absolutely no problems. Okay. And they put them through an MRI scanner. More than 90% of them had torn labrums on their MRI. Okay.
What?
So if 90% of 16-year-olds who have no pain and no symptoms have torn labrums on their MRI, what do we think the utility of MRI to diagnose that is? The answer is 0. Okay. It doesn't matter. And what that also means is that all 4 of us sitting here in this studio right now, guess what we have in our hips right now?
Torn labrums.
Okay. So that's where the misinformation comes in, right? Okay. So there's about 1 billion different things around the hip that can cause hip pain. Okay. About 995 million of them involve your muscles around the hip not being strong enough and you being relatively inflexible. Okay. So it turns out that, like we talked about Shakira, right? It turns out having strong glutes and strong hip abductors and being somewhat flexible around your hip is actually really important to not having hip pain when we do everything in our lives. Okay. And the big thing about hips is the thing that we actually operate on is something called hip impingement. Okay. And what that is so the hip's a ball in a socket. And anybody with any sort of mechanical background will know that any ball and socket joint has a mechanical limit. It can only move so far before you run out of space. Okay. Well, the femur is not a perfectly round bone. Okay. And so it's a cam-shaped structure. So it's not perfectly round in all areas. And so as you move the hip, and particularly up into flexion and internally rotate it, you're actually running the bone into the socket. Okay. Well, the labrum is this little tiny ring of tissue right around that socket. Okay. And so as you do that, you're going to pinch against that. Now, does that cause pain? We genuinely don't know, because we don't even know if the labrum's innervated or not. We don't know if it even has nerves in it and can sense that kind of stuff. Okay. But the idea of hip impingement is that kind of pressure over time will generate pain. And you can see reaction within the bone and some other things related to that can be a giveaway for that. But it's like, if I chased you around all day and poked you on the thigh with my finger, right? Just gently, by the end of the day, that spot's going to be sore. Okay.
I feel like that's with everything.
Yeah.
You touch yourself multiple times.
Yeah. If you do it enough, it's going to get sore. And that's the idea of hip impingement. Okay. And so that's what the real problem is, right? Everybody gets hung up on this labrum junk, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, whatever. That's not actually what's going on. All right. And so with that, the treatment for it is generally physical therapy. Turns out like I said, most of the things around the hip that are going to cause pain have nothing to do with the actual pain inside the hip joint. Using anti-inflammatories, simply changing the position that you sit in. Okay. Like we've talked about, a little bit here before about sleeping positions, right? And it's mostly me ranting about people who like come in with right shoulder pain and then they say, well, I sleep on my right side. And I say, well, does it hurt when you wake up in the morning? The answer is yes. And can we start trying to sleep? I don't know, not on our right side. And the answer is no, because that's the only way I can sleep, right? It's kind of like, yeah, we don't really care that much about our shoulder pain then, right? This is the same idea with the hip. So if people will get into crazy positions and sit there with their knees all bent up into their chest for hours at a time doing stuff, I'm like, well, that all that does is create pressure and impinge. And maybe if we don't do that, we'll be better. Okay. So I tell my high school kids to sit like the lazy kid in class, right? Kind of stretched out in the chair, right? With their hips open. Turns out that'll help decrease symptoms. There's used to be evidence about doing injections in the hip, and we'll sometimes do a steroid injection into the hip joint to try to decrease pain and symptoms. But a lot of that is diagnostic, right? Turns out if I put numbing medicine into your hip joint and your pain goes away, your pain's probably coming from inside that joint, right? If your pain doesn't go away, then pain's probably not coming from inside that joint. And then the last treatment is we do what's called a hip scope. And so that involves 2 or 3 little poke holes using a camera and little instruments. And, it's like everything else. Like everybody thinks the scope is better, right? For the hip, it is, right? And we go in there and the 95% of what you're actually doing that procedure to help get people better is you're shaving down the bone on the femur to make it more round. You're taking the structure that's not round and you're making it round so that it has a wider path to be able to move without impinging, right? You look at the labrum and you repair it if it needs to be. Every hip scope I've ever done has a torn labrum on their MRI. Okay. About 50% of them have anything wrong with them to where I'm like, maybe I'll fix that.
Yep.
And the fix for that is typically 1 or 2 tiny anchors with 1 or 2 tiny stitches. And it takes 5 minutes. And then I spend an hour reshaping the bone. Right. And then the last thing, which is actually vitally important, is there's powerful ligaments around the hip called the hip capsule, and you have to repair those at the end. It's one of those things that 15 years ago-ish, people were like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. And the real reason they didn't do it is because it was hard to do and the instruments weren't very good for it. And that's why there were studies that came out and said you didn't need to, because those are totally bogus. All the more recent literature says you absolutely have to do that. And so we do that at the end of it too, but it works. It helps a lot of people. Like I said, I can make every single human being on earth impinge if I take your hip far enough, right? With a ball and socket joint. So afterwards, can you still impinge? Sure. If you're going to sleep with your chin, touching your knees, can't really make you tons better. Right. But it works. It's one of the specialties. I literally went to Utah for a year to learn how to do it. Right. And so that's why I'm kind of like, listen, this is what's real about it. And this is what's not, because it turns out I kind of know a lot about it.
But
back specialist.
Yeah, back to your original point though, if I'm hearing you correctly, a lot of these issues can be managed or prevented by just keeping the hip muscles strong and stretching.
Turns out strength wins. Strength and mobility are extraordinarily important. There's in general, the folks who come in who are me and Hooksy's age, who, more Hooksy's age than my age, right? Who haven't really exercised in years and just kind of like gone, and then are kind of, they'll come in with a lot of hip pain, right? And a lot of the time it's, listen, we honestly need to lose a little weight we need to get our core muscles stronger, and we need to get our glute muscles stronger. And those are things that take time and effort to work on and do. But if you do those things, you'll live longer and healthier and happier by doing that. And that's a big part of it. Now we look for people with arthritis. If you have hip arthritis, by the way, hip scopes do not work under any circumstance or scenario. Like, so I get people a lot of the time, you're like, well, can't you just scope it to like clean it up? I'm like, yeah, well, no, because you won't get better, you know? So it's kind of a niche operation that works well. And again, guys, like do some planks, do some wall sits, do some squats, get a gym membership and actually go. You find building up a little bit of muscle goes a long, long, long way towards, you know, staying healthy.
To your point, I've been doing some hip stretches twice a week for about the past year, hitting the squats, hitting the hip thrusts at the gym. It's night and day whenever I go out and do physical activity. Yeah. Whenever I go out and golf, used to always go home with hip pain after I was done golfing. Haven't had hip pain all
Feels great, doesn't it? Makes your back feel better. Like everything gets better. You need that core and that base to do those things. There's some good little tests online on strength, right? And what you should do. One of the simplest one I heard on a podcast the other day is try to put on your sock and shoe without leaning up against anything or sitting on anything, right? Stand on one foot while you're doing it and put on, you know, have everything set up and ready to go, right? But put on your sock and your shoe without touching the ground or, you know, and then do it to the other foot. If you can't do that, you need to strengthen your glute musculature and work on your core strength and work on your balance. That's what you need to do because that's like, it's showing you that you're too weak to accomplish that.
Hip specialist, Dr. Dane Todd. That's why I want to bring it up because I knew there was some stuff out there about it, and you are the guy that we talked to about that specific area. So, but speaking of, you got me a great segue. You gave me a great segue about mobility and stretching and golf.
Oh, Coiven, his angle of his spine whenever he hits the golf ball does not look like it should be physically possible.
He's 21 years old. He bends in ways that none of us maybe ever bent. But he goes out. Boy, what a start to a career. Dan, I don't know if you've seen this guy. It's his third career start as a professional.
Okay.
His 13th start on the PGA Tour. Here's his run, by the way. 21 years old. Now, let's go back to April 24th, okay? This year. He three-peated.
So we're talking exactly 2 months
ago. Exactly 2 months ago.
Or three.
Yeah. April 24th, he three-peated SEC individual champion. He's at Auburn.
Okay.
Wins the NCAA title with Auburn June 3rd. His final amateur start at the U.S. Open was June 18th. He finished that as the low amateur June 21st. June 22nd, going pro. July 2nd, made his first pro debut at the John Deere, missed the cut. He goes to the ISCO Championship, finishes top 10 yesterday, and only his third professional start, wins yesterday. It's also by setting a scoring record, 25 under par, 1 month after doing it. Finishes up an incredible bogey-free weekend.
That's pretty good. That's a good year.
Outlasting. But all the articles are going to say this, but he was so good and pretty much, it wasn't over when it started, but I think he went in with like a 4 to 5 stroke lead. Scotty was too far back. Scotty finished his solo second with a dynamic day yesterday for Scotty Scheffler, but this kid was absolute nails yesterday. He's now becomes the 10th youngest winner on the PGA Tour since 2000.
It was just, as you talked about the bogey-free weekend, had this pulled up at the TV, the Airbnb, a good chunk of the weekend here. Got to see Michael Kim fire a 59.
By the way, you see the stat on that? There now have been, I want to say, 15 sub-59s, 16.
I think he was the 16th and still the 158.
So 16 sub-60 rounds, 59, 58. Jim Furyk set that record. Out of those guys, only 6 of them have gone on to win the tournament.
Really?
Because I think he was 1 under the last 2 days total.
Yeah.
59 on a Friday, had a 3-stroke lead going into it.
What's wild?
Could not follow it up.
That was a 59 with no eagles too. It was all birdies.
Putted his.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any bogeys?
No bogeys on that 59 round. It was what? So was it? Let's do the math here. Is it 12 birdies across 18 holes? I think that's right. It's either 11 or 12.
That's super impressive.
This is also Jackson Kluven, just to show you where his career has been. He's the only player to win all 3 awards twice. Those awards are the Fred Haskins Award, the Ben Hogan Award, and the Jack and Nicholas Award in college. He did it in 24 and in 26. He swept all 3 of those awards.
It just feels like a guy who is, if he can stay healthy, guaranteed for stardom in golf.
Yeah.
I don't want to say guaranteed because you look at his swing and you go,
how does that happen? Over the top of that ball.
Really over the top, then he gets crazy sideways. It's like if the health sticks around, especially as you look at like the back and the hips, that guy just looks like he is going to be a star for a long time. He is an incredible
Now, what
golfer.
that does, by the way, you ask what that does for him. Yeah, it's a $1.5 million first paycheck that he gets. Now, there's one more week, folks. One more week. And there have been some adjustments this year. Only the top 70 make it.
Where's he at?
Are you guys seeing the stream here? We have the picture up.
Oh, you got the I'll go back there real quick.
Of what his finishing position looks like.
Yeah, that's
how's he gonna do with the labor?
I feel like his clubs aren't long enough.
I don't know.
he's generating so much power.
So what that means, by the way, he wins. Now that's just the 1.5. That's a pretty good deal. You know where he just went into? From 190, he was 194 coming in. Number 70.
Oh, really?
He's on the line. Because there'll be a lot of guys that be playing for their playoff life this week. And I believe it's the Wyndham, because just the top 70 make the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Here are some names to watch as they're kind of hanging on. And you start looking at maybe number 60 through 80, I'd guess. Guys like you mentioned, Michael Kim. Michael Kim's day, the other day got him up there. He's 61. A guy like Brian Harmon, first top 10 of the year. Yesterday, I believe he finished tied for third. 62nd playing for it out there. You've got, again, Jackson Kluven. He's sitting there at number 70. He'll play again this week to help get that position, or let's hope not hurt it. Here are some names to throw out to you. Jason Day, 74th. Former Ryder Cup captain. Keegan Bradley, he's at 76 out there. A guy that could really use a phenomenal week. I don't know what it'll take, but he kind of made his way back. Brooks Koepka, 84th right now. Does he have a chance to make the playoff?
Tony Finau,
87.
87. God, remember when he dislocated his ankle?
Oh, boy, and then played 4 rounds of golf because he made the cut.
Yeah, that was incredible.
A guy like Denny McCarthy had a really good day yesterday. 81 right now. I want to mention this guy because I don't know if you saw this yesterday. Lucas Glover, 92nd. Now, we're not talking about playoff. Did you see him yesterday at all?
Mm-mm.
He makes a short putt, 4 or 5 feet, takes his putter, walks off the green, takes his shoes off, puts them on the ground, walks up in his socks, picks the ball up, gets out of the way. At first, people were saying, man, he is protesting the aim and point and shoot thing. Because, if you ever watch these guys walk, straddle the putt, allegedly that was part of it. But he responded and saying, no, there was a group in front of him because not everybody wears soft spikes. He is a spike guy, still like the old school spikes. Somebody in the group made a comment towards him. So he's like, fine, I'll take my shoes off. Take that.
I love that. Good for him.
Yeah.
A little spite.
Just completely out of spite.
As you look at the FedEx Cup point standings, one thing that is very surprising to me, the man sitting in 9th.
Let me see.
Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Did you know he is now tied for career wins on the PGA Tour with Jackson Kluven?
Yeah. This dude has one. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And consistency is great. Consistency enough to be top 10 in FedEx Cup point standings, but one career win.
Well, you talk about consistency. Everybody has made this whole thing about Scotty Scheffler this year. He's got one win.
Mm.
He sits at the top by a long shot right now.
Tommy Fleetwood is about 50 times ahead of him in career earnings, though.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But what a Sunday it was to watch. And again, this playoffs will get off and running in a couple of weeks. This will be a week. This is positioning week for those guys, whether you are whatever position you're in, but fun golf to watch. If you start watching that, I'd say maybe 50 through 80 give it a shake or whatever, trying to create positioning or get yourself into it. That's career changing. Career changing in the top 7 because they go 70, 50, and 30. 70, 50, 30. So guys like, there are guys that will take some weeks off just based on, like, if you're Scotty Scheffler, do you play all 3? Don't know. He played this week for the first time in that tournament, so there wasn't so many weeks off for positioning. So golf drama coming up this weekend. It probably looks like it's nothing, but something fun to watch as these guys, every birdie, every bogey will make something. So, all right, let's take our final break, come back with This Day in Sports.
I was gonna say just roll through.
Oh, that was roll through, not get out.
Oh well, it's fine.
I'm like, I'll get out. I'll get you out.
How much time do we have here?
A minute.
Yeah, that's my fault.
I'll be fine.
We can just have actually, we can do something here. Bada bing.
Skin this one.
Tour de France is going on right now, isn't it?
It's over.
Oh, is it over?
They have another guy that just tied the record, 5-time winner.
I can't wait till his steroid out. They figure out what he's doping with.
He finished a full 6 minutes ahead of second place. I saw it on this Sportsman this morning. That's all I saw.
To be fair, though, blood doping was pretty cool, like innovation wise. Not like for competition, but like I can see why it's unfair. The fact that somebody thought to take your own blood out and like centrifuge it and put it back into you to give yourself better blood. Oh,
yeah, genius.
Wild.
Kind of like some Hollywood type stuff. Doesn't even feel real.
True. Ooh, pipe bomb happened today.
Oh,
the Atlanta Olympics. Let's not bring that one up.
No. Is that on This Day in Sports? No.
Deion Sanders announced his retirement. Oh, and Lance Armstrong won his 5th consecutive Tour de France today.
There you go.
So there you go. That's perfect. Perfect timing.
Can we?
How many does he have now?
In 2000. Oh, we have to bring that up because in 2003 it says something else. He was disqualified.
Oh, in 2003? That's what it says here, 2003, though.
But then this one says the 9th. No winner. He was disqualified. I don't know.
I'm confused.
I think it was because they took away
that one.
He won it, and then maybe it's an updated thing where
he wasn't like.
Yeah, he won 4 consecutive 2000, 2003, and then got his 6th and 7th in 04, 05.
Yeah, how many's he got now?
Yeah, he has 0.
Did you guys see any of the USA track and field championships?
No.
17-year-old in the 800 meters absolutely smoked everybody. It was insane.
What was his time, though?
Sub 2 minutes.
It's ridiculous. On time and rock and roll. Welcome back in the morning hookup. Couple minutes left. Thanks for hanging out with us on a beautiful Monday. Dang, you missed something in the stream, man. This day in sports, like the Tour de France, a sport we don't even talk about anymore. Because if you say Tour de France, you think bad things.
Think about Lance.
Everybody in your Livestrong bracelets. Sports was a great program that got.
Yeah, it did great things.
Yep.
Unfortunately, kind of little.
Because in this day, and like he won his 5th. Goes on to win 6 and 7. Now he has none, obviously, because I saw in Sportsman this morning that there's another gentleman. I don't know his name. He won his 5th title. Just tied the record, apparently.
Yeah, the record once Lance's got vacated, unfortunately.
What a fall.
But good for him. Congratulations. May there be no doping allegations. 10 years from now. So Oh, good for them.
Biking though. It's ever since Lance. I couldn't even tell you the Americans who are doing it now.
Mm-mm. Wild that it was the U.S. Postal Service who is the sponsor for all those. And last time I checked, that's like a government thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
What are you trying to say?
Picking winners and losers there.
Oh my God!
What a way to end the hour.
I'm going to leave it at that. That was Doc Knowledge. Doc, appreciate you. DrDaneTodd.com, 402-484-4012. Any orthopedic needs, especially them hips.
That's right, baby.
Take care of you. Dane, thank you.
I see you guys.
Have a great week. Stay cool out there. Coming up, Evan Bland, Major League Baseball, a whole lot more. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back.
Job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of pay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2026 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 22nd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
Your roof has to protect your home and family against freezing Nebraska winters, pounding spring storms, blazing summer heat, and blustery fall winds. It's asking a lot of any material to withstand all of that. This is Matt Berkey, co-owner of Golden Roof Contractors, and we use only the highest quality of roofing materials. Shingles, metal, or flat roofing will give you a beautiful new roof with no mess and made to last. For a free inspection, contact Golden Rule Contractors at goldenrulecontractors.com or give us a call at 402-641-2214.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Layton's local news, talk, sports, and weather station, FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Leaders said they have been making progress in efforts to bring the United States and Iran back to the negotiating table and prevent an all-out war in the Middle East. ABC's Rachel Scott has more from Washington.
Sources tell me today that President Trump is now holding off on a major escalation against Iran to give way for diplomacy to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. I'm told the president was prepared to launch a series of strikes on Friday, but decided to hold off. Sources also say officials discussed the impact a major attack could have on the U.S.'s depleting stock of air defense interceptors.
Oil traders like that glimmer of hope. Oil has been trading lower today. Across parts of Spain and France, at least 300,000 people have been evacuated from their homes because of the massive wildfires. ABC's Marcus Moore has the latest.
In France, authorities going door to door in the Gironde region, urging residents to evacuate, pleading with vacationers to keep their distance. Firefighters supported by farmers. Huge flames as the wildfires in the region burned more than 100,000 acres, an area 4 times the size of Paris. And in Bordeaux, the heart of France's famed grain country and a tourist hotspot, cleared out by the approaching flames.
More than 100 million Americans under heat warnings or advisories today as an heat dome settles in the middle part of the country. The search is still on in Seattle for at least one person believed to have been involved in the shooting at a food fair over the weekend. At least 3 people dead. ABC's Alex Stone was there this morning.
Everything is frozen in time on the site here right now. The vendor booths, they are empty, still full of food. Everybody went racing out of here, running out of here when they heard the gunfire.
And it's officially official. LeBron James has signed his deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Terms not disclosed, but sources tell ESPN the NBA's all-time scoring leader signed a 2-year, $8 million deal. You're listening to ABC News.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I've told them they can save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network. And to find me, to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
What we know so far about a crash that happened over the weekend at a Northeast Lincoln home. Good morning, I'm Jeff Modes. We're at 90, the heat index at 94 at KFOR. A motorcyclist was sent to a Lincoln hospital after his motorcycle crashed into a home near 62nd and Judson shortly before 11:30 Saturday night. No word yet on the motorcyclist's condition. The investigation is ongoing. KFOR News is still following this developing story. Kent Boughton, who for decades was a TV weather forecaster on stations in central Nebraska and briefly in Lincoln, has passed away following a battle with cancer. Boughton died Sunday, according to a social media post by family members. He announced on social media back in March he had stage 4 cancer. In that social media post, he said he initially went to the doctor after losing his voice. That's when he found out a tumor in his lung grew against his tonsil, paralyzing it. He was a longtime TV forecaster at KHAS in Hastings, also at NTV in Kearney, part-time at KLKN here in Lincoln before taking over the forecasting duties at News Channel Nebraska. In other news, a 43-year-old Lincoln firefighter passed away on Friday after he suffered injuries during a wildfire battle in western Colorado. Federal officials confirmed that Nathan Matthews was hurt June 27th while fighting the Knowles fire in Mesa County, Colorado. That's according to the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. Matthews was one of 5 firefighters involved in a burnover while engaged in initial attack operations on the Knowles fire. Starting Thursday and going through August 8th is a Lancaster County Super Fair at the Sandhills Global Event Center. A number of events are happening and new items have been added this year, according to Event Center Marketing Director Gina Nathan.
We've added extra air conditioning. We do have live music all 10 nights again. Rip Fest is coming back again August 6th through the 8th.
There will also be a midway with rides, games, plenty of exhibits, competitions, demolition derby, bull riding, foods on the stick, and plenty more. You can find out all the details at superfair.org. Excessive heat warning in effect until 10 tonight. Sunny and hot today, a high around 102. The heat index up around 111. I'm Jeff Motes, KFOR News.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Hour number 2. Special thanks here to the doc, Dr. Dane Todd. DrDaneTodd.com. Go check him out. He's the best in the business, by the way. He's telling you right now. Maybe a little biased. Good dude. Great doctor. I wouldn't steer you the wrong way. But only see him if you got to see him, okay? Or you just want to make a visit and say hi. It's fine. Every Monday from 9 to 10, you can call in and say hi to the doc. We should do a segment. Maybe we do like an Ask the Doc.
Free healthcare advice.
I don't know, like Ask Jeeves or something. What those other like WebMD? What are those sites you can go on?
Yeah, WebMD.
Is that it? Yeah. Ask the Doc.
WebDT.
Yeah. You can do that. He's listening now. I said it now, so he's not in the car listening. So coming up, we're going to talk baseball. A lot of baseball coming up. We're going to talk MLB. Evan Bland, my World Herald story. There's crazy stories out there we missed. There's one UNC football announced something today that's out there that's interesting, as it continues to be a debacle for Carolina football. And it won't continue that way as long as the Belichick is involved. Hey, boy, baseball this week. We talked about it last week. This weekend was going to tell you a lot about the pending Monday trade deadline. Monday, August 3rd. We have a week left. But there were big weekends for teams that were going to make or break what they were going to do. Boston stays hot. Unfortunately for them, they didn't gain any more ground because the Rays have won 3 straight. So that one is still there. Yankees 3 up in that division. Boston 7.5 back, but they still are looming big right there. The White Sox now have opened up a small gap. They're 2.5 up.
Well,
the Guardians.
I've tried to convince Schmitty. He's heading up to Chicago for Big Ten Media Days. The White Sox are hosting the Yankees.
Why is he not going?
Because he says he doesn't care to go see a White Sox game.
It doesn't matter.
They're fun this year.
They're fun. Did you see yesterday they had, I forget the kid's name, they had bobblehead night? It's the Asian kid or Japanese kid. Which one is he?
Munetaka Murakami.
Yeah. Did you see that, what he did yesterday?
I did not, but two homers?
Yeah, his mom and dad threw out the first pitch, which is cool. Then he had 2 home runs.
Yeah.
He hadn't had a home run since he got back for like July 10th or something.
He's a beast.
He hits 2 yesterday for now 22 or 23 home runs on the year. They have a 2-game lead in theirs. Rangers open up a little bit, 1.5 games, still awful baseball looking. They're the only team over 500. They're 1 game over. The wild card situation it's crazy. I think the conversation now gears around a lot of that. As there's been movement in the wild card there, Yankees are now 6 games clear. Your Red Sox hold the 2nd spot now.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians have fallen back to that 3rd spot. And then the question of those teams are, what do you do? What do you do? Because there's one team, they got the best free agent out there. What do you do? The Twins 1 game back, Mariners 1.5 games back, Astros 2 back. The Orioles losers, I believe, have 2 out of 3 to the Braves, 2.5 back. And then there's the Tigers, 3.5 back. Looming questions for some of those teams. Is it time to make the move? Are you buying or selling? Are big questions around all of baseball. Braves, successful weekend. They're 7 out of 10. They've opened up a 5.5 game lead back on the Phillies in that one. Milwaukee continues to roll. 7-3 in their last 10. I know it's against the Rockies. See what the Miz did yesterday?
Yeah.
Dude.
Goes out. He strikes out the first 7 hitters. He had 66 pitches, over 100 yesterday. That now puts him up to 762 pitches for the year, over 100. That doubles everybody else. Is there a better pitcher in baseball?
No, we were talking yesterday on the trip back from Colorado, asking the question, with just how pitchers are being treated now in the MLB with pitch limits, you're only going like 6 innings. What guys that are playing right now are realistically candidates to get to the 3,000 strikeout club?
They're not.
The only one,
him.
Well, only 1 to 2 I could think of would be Skeens and Mizorowski. The question with Mizorowski is, with as hard as he throws, what's his longevity look like? And Skeens, you'd arguably say the same. Typically, the guys recently that are getting to the 3,000 strikeout club are not the guys that are throwing gas early in their career. How long can you sustain that?
You're already starting to see the Brewers kind of like look over his pitch count a little bit and in every start trying not to let him ride past 80, 85 pitches, because when you're just putting so much stress on that elbow, you can't let a guy go 100 consistently.
They've already said that. They came out yesterday and said that, by the way, that they would be monitoring him the rest of the way out.
Yeah.
Getting him, again, looking ahead for the postseason. They're trying to get to the postseason, and they look like they're going to be there, but monitoring what those look like. I went back and, like, if you look at active guys, but there, Chris Sale could get there maybe.
He's what?
2,713.
Okay.
Maybe.
So 300 away.
But again, what's his age? I don't even know how old he is. What's Chris Sale's age? He's at 2,700. Scherzer's already there, but
Sale's 37.
So at 37, 2,713 strikeouts. This is as of today. Yesterday.
So he'd have to go how many more seasons?
Well, what's his average? Let's say he does, was it 200 a year? No.
His 162 game average for strikeouts is
2 years? So Chris Sale.
He's averaging 248 whenever he plays a full 162 game season.
So Chris Sale, he's your one. Look past that. Active guys, Garrett Cole, 56, 2,317. Don't see it. And that's it. I mean, you got other guys. I'm not going to mention their names. You got one chance in the near future of seeing a guy hit 3,000. That's Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves.
But again,
who's been phenomenal, by the way.
What I'm saying is you got to have a 16-year MLB career where you're relatively healthy, and that's what Mizorowski and Skeens would have to do. But they're like the two guys in the MLB that I could maybe see it, but it's harder and harder to do. Anyway, that just kind of speaks to Mizorowski, his greatness. The fact that the best pitchers in the MLB aren't getting the 3,000 strikeout club right now. It both takes dominance and longevity. But Miz and Skeens, the two I could see do it. And that performance yesterday kind of shows why.
It was so good.
Unhittable.
Have you guys seen just like the stats on why it looks so fast? Because of his extension. He's 6'7". So then when he comes down off the mound, he's getting actually like 7 feet closer to the plate when the ball comes out of his hand. So
it's ridiculous.
He's releasing it from like actually 53 feet.
Mm-hmm. It's silly.
You can't even do like the old age saying in baseball of see ball, hit ball. You don't see the ball. It just it comes out of his hand and it's in the catcher's glove.
It's 104 on the black, and you don't see it. Good luck.
They have a 7-game lead in that one. Conversations coming up. Dodgers still continuing to roll. They're 6-4. Arizona having a nice week. They were 6-4 in their last 10. Look at that wild card situation. Still on Shohei, by the way, they said he's about 2 weeks out if he throws again this year. So something to monitor. They have the luxury of being like, Shohei, you can sit out. We're still that stinking good right now. Wild card, Cubs hold it 4.5 up. Philly sitting there in second. A little flip-flop going on because it got a little closer. The Diamondbacks are at the 3rd spot, and questions looming for a few teams out there. Pirates, 1 game back. Nationals, doesn't seem right, but they're 1 game back. Cardinals, 1.5 games back. Padres, 2 back. Padres are always right there. They're going to buy something to try to get in the playoffs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's one guarantee, the Padres are going to buy something.
You're going to buy something at the deadline. They're going to sneak into the playoffs and lose in the wild card round.
Probably the team, when you look at the team that had the worst time over their last 12 games, that have fallen 3 back. They had the best record in June, the Marlins. Losers of 12 straight have fallen completely 3 games back of the wild card, and as far now as 10.5 back of the Atlanta Braves in the East. A lot of questions coming up.
Haven't been many moves made, but the Red Sox and Nationals kind of kick things off of the trade deadline, I guess, fiasco, bonanza, whatever you want to call it. Because in the next coming week, it's going to be a lot more moves coming, but the Red Sox and Nationals made a move, which kind of benefits both teams, in my opinion. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, but the Red Sox moved Connolly Early, who was a young pitcher who the Red Sox have a ton of pitchers, and he's a young guy who, I mean, not that they didn't need him, but they needed to get rid of some pitchers, and then they bring in a bat in Curtis Mead, who has had a really good season, batting around 250, an 850 OPS, probably going to hit around 30 home runs this year. So really a win-win for both teams. Red Sox get a bat that they need, and the Nationals get a pitcher that they need.
Win-win, but it does kind of show you what the mood is going to be for the Red Sox.
Aggressive,
leaning more towards buyer.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think the Red Sox are in that mode where we talked about it as well. They're going to buy, but it's not going to be sexy buys, right? You're going to get names like this moving. You're going to get upgrades at some spots, some depth at spots, where other teams are going to try to make the big move. It'd be interesting to see, again, the Scooble sweepstakes, what's going to happen there. A lot of teams, how many pitchers the Mets end up without because they've got a slew of pitchers. They're going to be big-time price sellers at the line coming up. It's interesting moves coming up, but it was a weekend where you got to kind of took a little shape of stuff as there's some series coming up that will put some other things into perspective as well coming up. Some good games coming up. If you look at some of these series, boy, big series in the AL West, by the way, real quick before we get to Evan. How about Seattle, Texas? They're playing each other coming up. See, Atlanta and the Mets. Thank you, Mets. Please keep doing what Mets things are. Boy, kind of a fun series. I think you mentioned it. Yankees, White Sox coming up.
That's a fun one.
Couple division leaders out there. Boston could stay hot against Oakland. They're out at Oakland, where we know that 1 million bombs are hit out there in the Vegas situation, or wherever they're at these days. Sacramento. Milwaukee, San Fran. So watch for these games. I think a lot to be defined coming up as the trade deadline is coming up Monday. So, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more baseball and some Husker football with Evan Blam, the Omaha World Herald.
Maybe we can bring this up to Evan. I don't know if you guys just saw Husker basketball Twitter.
Yeah, off to Grand Island.
Yeah.
I had heard that was in the mix. There was, did they announce? Yeah, K-State. I had heard that. I was with
heading to the tropics.
I was with somebody and hanging out, and that thing was all but done except for the one side not wanting to. Actually, it wasn't the one side. The two sides were in agreement. It was the site they had to get put together.
One of the most tropical city in the state.
It's a grand island. I want to see something right quick here because I think this is so interesting.
What if Anthony Calandria just has a Heisman caliber season?
Oh, God. Here you go. Oh, you're Kool-Aiding it on us.
First question for Evan.
First question for Evan. Evan, hypothetically.
Oh, no.
What now?
This Eric Bieniemy case
his son
is kind of kind of sad.
His son has been arrested on 3 felonies.
Where is that? Air Force, Army, Notre Dame. I'm on top. Welcome back to the morning hookup. Happy Monday. It's from our guy from the Omaha World Herald, Evan Bland. Evan, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys.
Hey, you staying cool? It's hot. It is hot, man. That's been a task. I mean, that's like the biggest task all weekend, which is somehow stay cool and hydrated.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm staying super cool. It's you hoping the AC is working. I went from Lincoln to Omaha the other day and had my AC on full blast, and it just kind of kept pace. Usually you do that, you get cold pretty quickly, but it just feels like this is the kind of conditions where everything we have is just enough to like keep us where we are. I'm ready for cooler temperatures here in the next few days. Let's do that.
Is it an ice cream kind of day for you? Is it a cold beer kind of day for you? What are you thinking here? Combine the hot weather with Big Ten Media Days week. We know it's going to be busy. What's the evening look like for you to stay cool?
Yeah, I mean, a cold beer, nothing wrong with that. I won't say no to a strawberry smoothie or something like that on a day like this. The ice cream cone, like, to me, if you're doing it outside, like, the urgency level has got to be really high, right? Like, that thing's going to be trickling down the side of the cone within 10 seconds. And so it kind of takes on the urgency of, like, diffusing a bomb or something. Like, you got to stay on top of that thing. So if you can do it inside, maybe that's a different deal than the outside experience. But again, like, we're seeing there's an end in sight here. I think starting tomorrow it should cool down a little bit. But man, it's we've been on the planet Venus here for about the last 3 or 4 days.
Again, we're speaking to Evan Blam, the Omaha World Herald. Evan, let's talk a little Husker baseball. They got some word out there about the ballpark. We got opponents in that thing: Air Force, Army, Notre Dame, Nebraska will be there. Talk about that, what that looks like, and then also that, like, the MO or the mantra that will be Nebraska's baseball schedule, because we've seen in recent history they've got some big-time opponents, whether they be regional opponents or CWS opponents out there, and what all that entails and what it means for Nebraska. As we typically know, the Big Ten not as strong from the RPI perspective, but we have a few additions that will make that easier now for Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice little schedule addition. None of the names necessarily will blow you away. I mean, Notre Dame was good a few years ago when Link Jarrett was the head coach. He's now been at Florida State for a few years, and so that was probably the high mark of what the Irish were doing. But, like, those are solid programs that tend to have winning records, and sometimes that's the name of the game with the RPI. It's not always just schedule an SEC team. Sometimes it's like the teams that can, quote unquote, game the system the best are the ones that can identify the teams in smaller conferences that end up winning their conferences, because their records tend to be, really strong. And so maybe that could be Army. Notre Dame, like I said, has been up and down, and you have these games on a neutral site, which adds a little extra weight to what you want to do with your RPI too. So I think Nebraska's found a nice little rhythm these last 2 years, and I would include what we know about the 2027 schedule as well, in that, where you have kind of that marquee weekend, and then you have maybe another challenging weekend or two at a neutral location, and maybe you have a little bit of an easier one. But the one that was announced down in San Antonio, I wouldn't classify as like their marquee event. But again, those are teams that have a history in the last decade or so of being able to jump up and win 30 to 40 games and be competitive. So if you're Nebraska, that's really what you're trying to do, is stack that RPI as much as you can early on, and then you follow those teams the rest of the year and hope they have the kind of seasons that'll help you out on that RPI side of things.
It's Evan Bland with us here from the Omaha World Herald. And Evan, I want to switch over, talk some football with you, as it's Big Ten Media Days week. The festivities kick off tomorrow in Chicago. Plenty to get into, but as we kind of discussed with Dr. Dane Todd back in hour one, can you lay out the top storylines for the fans that are just coming back around on Husker football? They wanted to stay away for the off season, but now that Big Ten Media Days week is kicking off, they're locking back in. Can you lay out some of the top storylines for those fans that you think we'll be discussing both this week and through fall camp?
Yeah, you're talking Nebraska or the league at large?
Mostly Nebraska, but the league at large maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Nebraska, it's been interesting because this program's never really all that far out of the spotlight but I think this offseason was probably as close as you might get in the modern media climate, just because the spring game was so early there and at the end of March, and there were no, podcasts or real interview opportunities since then. Matt Rule's maybe talked to a couple of folks locally or nationally, but you haven't heard from players much outside of some of the internal stuff that's come out in the last week or so. And so I think there are a lot of little housekeeping things certainly to get to. I still think the number one thing, and the thing you'll read about on Thursday or hear about, is the running back situation, and specifically what's Nebraska's plan with Mekhi Nelson, who has been projected to be a starter or co-starter at that group. And given the legal situation that he had in Florida, even though those charges were dropped, what's Nebraska's plan or approach there? Is there going to be a suspension? Is it business as usual? Is it something else? So that's something we'll have to dig into, as well as how that relates to the addition of Tyke Hayes, the running back who comes over from Iowa Western after spending last year at Penn State. So I think that's probably the main one, just in terms of like news items to figure out. And then it's probably going to be catching up on a lot of other injury-related things. I'll be curious, for example, what Carter Nelson's status is. It sounds like he's going to be more of a receiver again than a tight end. So is that a permanent deal? Is he full go and ready in a room that's pretty deep with probably 6 other like legitimate, possibly contributing receivers? So that's one that I'd put out there. And then I think just kind of curiosity is as far as how some of these new coaches have meshed with their position groups. What's the Jeep Wade impact or effect been on this new look offensive line? Obviously, Rob Orich and that defense, how does that continue to come together? Specifically, that defensive line, with now a 4-man front instead of a 3-man front. How different does that look? How might that affect the outlook of some of the individual players? So I think those are all interesting things. And then, nationally, Nebraska's going on the same day on Thursday as the defending national champ. Indiana's going to be out there. And so whenever Kurt Signetti speaks, especially at an event like this, it tends to be appointment listening. And so what the message is from him, what the message is from the Big Ten about that. And I would expect to probably see some a little bit of a victory lap from the league as well. Now 3 straight national championship seasons. The SEC is kind of griping about moving to 9-game league schedule. Well, the Big Ten's already been there. They have the financial resources. They have the television contracts. They have the on-field success. I would expect there to be maybe a little bit of scoreboard pointing as far as what the league's been able to do these last few years.
Evan, Hooks brought up a good point in hour number 1, that as you look at Nebraska's schedule and you look at the teams that are in the upper half of the Big Ten, you can kind of, with one word, identify who they are as a team. They have an identity. They have a culture. And Nebraska hasn't really had that in however many years you want to say. What does Nebraska's identity need to be in order to be successful this year?
Well, I think they can articulate it at times. And Matt Rule's kind of talked about how to win on the plains where the wind can howl and the temperatures can vary, like you need to be able to move the ball on the ground, run the ball, right? Like that's a key thing that they, even when they had Emmett Johnson last year, like you kind of wondered at times what their commitment level was to running the ball. So I think you got to start there, and it doesn't help that you don't maybe have an established hierarchy at running back just yet, but you have an offensive line that you invested heavily in that's very experienced, both in the SEC and in other power leagues. So I think that sets you up well for that. You have a quarterback now who is mobile enough to run the ball when necessary, in addition to having a big arm and being able to pass it effectively. So I think you still have to start off running the ball on offense, and I think the same is true defensively. Like you just got to own the trenches. You got to be able to force opponents into passing in uncomfortable or obvious passing situations, and that's just not something Nebraska's consistently been able to do. You probably got to go back to Tony White's first defense at Nebraska a couple of years ago the last time they were really able to do that. And since then, it's just been a kind of a grind going against these Big Ten teams that want to run the ball, that more often than not have been able to do that. So are you a little tougher up front? Are you more sound schematically now to fill those holes? Are you, can you disguise your coverages in such a way that you can pressure the quarterback and force takeaways when necessary? Like, I think that's what Nebraska's got to be built on. Win in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Don't give it away. Force takeaways. And you start winning some of those closer games. I mean, those numbers still continue to pop up here in the preseason where you look around. I think there was a report recently about like the last 5 years of fourth quarter games, and Nebraska has been abysmal when it comes down to it in the clutch. I mean, they've been in close games and they haven't won a lot of close games. So it's those little things, those moments of winning in the margins that flip games for Nebraska, and it just hasn't been the case. And I think the more that they do find ways to hang their hats on certain elements of the game, the way that so many of their Big Ten peers do, the better chance they have to start flipping some of these and maybe getting some positive outcomes.
Evan, we talked about MO, mantra, all these words. When you look at it, we just talked to Dane, and Dane, I thought, played with probably the toughest quarterback maybe in Nebraska history, who always set the tone, and that was Zach Taylor. When you look at Zach, what he did, boy, he was tough as nails in the pocket. How important it would be, because, again, we're talking about the trenches, we're talking about positions, but there's going to be so many eyes on your quarterback this year after coming past a legacy name, a five-star in Dylan Raiola, who has moved on to Oregon at this point. Give me thoughts on how important it's going to be for like a guy like Calandria to walk in. I mean, again, regardless of what you think about, he's taking the keys to a Nebraska offense, and that's going to come with some weight still based on the brand, still being kind of relevant at that point. But for him to set the tone as a tough-nosed quarterback, maybe sitting in the pocket, but just thoughts there about how important it's going to be for him to set that tone for this offense to be successful.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. Don't you think, like, Calandria, it feels like he's kind of coming in under the radar a little bit, like as far under the radar as you could at a place like Nebraska when you're a transfer. Like, I think people know Trey Taylor better at this point. The 27 committee's coming in. He has his own podcast, and he's been pretty out there in terms of his social media presence. Calandria, that's not been the case. I mean, he commits in the winter. He's here in the spring. He's talked a couple of times publicly, but he's generally kept a lower profile. But, I mean, I think in terms of toughness, you look at his career, and he started as a true freshman at Virginia, sort of out of necessity when there were injuries ahead of him, performed pretty well. Obviously at UNLV, when I did a story on him last winter, I talked to his parents, and they said, when he was in I think it was the Mountain West Championship game, he was like had a fever of well over 100 and was taking IVs and everything to get ready. And he went out there on game night and had himself prepared enough to go. And I think a lot of guys probably would have said, I'm not feeling it tonight. I'm not 100%. He wanted to be out there with his guys and performed actually pretty well. So I think that's sort of a little bit of an insight into his mentality in terms of being out there. So he's been durable despite being a running quarterback. And then he's got that moxie too. I mean, Zach Taylor had that moxie. I think Joe Gans had that moxie. Like, there's just certain quarterbacks, when they're out there, like there's a little bit of swagger to them. They've got all the self-confidence that you need. And it doesn't mean that it works out every time, but it means they really believe that they're the best person for the job and that they should be leading this thing. And I do think there's an intangible effect there on an offense when everyone can look at that guy and say, yeah, he's in control. He's our guy. We're going to go out there and follow his lead. I think Calandria has a lot of that. And so we got a limited look at that, obviously, in the spring. And so now he's got a chance on the big stage. This is his first chance in the Big Ten to show what he can do. I feel like physically and mentally, he's one of those guys that fans will enjoy watching and that players will naturally follow. And I think that's something he's done really since he was a kid, growing up playing football in South Florida.
It's Evan Blaine with us here. And Evan, as we kind of talk about the offense, Calandria, the running backs, what questions would you have for Dana Holgerson at this point in time? We'll get a chance to chat with Dana at some point during fall camp as he'll come and meet with the media. But what questions do you have for him as we look at an offense that on its face right now looks a lot different than what the offense was going to be, or the offense was last year?
Well, I'd want to follow up more with some of his comments in the spring where he had said he'd never really had a quarterback like Anthony Calandria before who had the level of mobility to make a defense pay with his legs. So, I mean, he's had some great passers as a head coach, but maybe not someone as well-rounded as Calandria. So how much of the offense adjusts based on his ability? And Calandria in that brief in-house interview last week had even said that they'd already brought in some of the playbook from UNLV and what they did. So how does that look? Does Nebraska consider itself, is it still the same kind of offense as last year, or are they just adjusting it to a new quarterback? I think that part's interesting because there are a lot of Big Ten schools out there that you know what kind of offense they're going to run, and it's just a matter of who's going to execute it. And it feels like Nebraska's been more, hey, let's run whatever best suits the guy that we have in here. So, I'd like to hear him articulate that a little bit further. I'd like to even kind of get into maybe a thought on how somebody with that kind of mobility, how does that affect those other position groups? How much different is it as an offensive lineman to block when the guy back there could be doing some freelancing? How different is it as a receiver? How committed do you need to be to your route when you know that the guy in the pocket could roll out and make something happen on his own? So, how do you train for that? What do they expect for that? I know explosive plays are a big deal and something Nebraska is looking to increase from what they've had the last couple of years. But I just think that mobility piece with Calandria and how it unlocks so many other elements of the offense will be fascinating to hear from Dana and what he expects to see.
Well, kind of reading between the lines a little bit, just to go off of that, you bring in an offensive line coach in Jeep Wade who came down from Georgia Tech. You have a guy in Calandria who can use his legs very, as a weapon. I don't think they move into an offense, mirroring Georgia Tech's where Haynes King was having designed quarterback runs nearly every play. But do you think they moved sort of towards some design runs for Calandria?
Yeah, I think you have to pick your spots. I think there will be a few, and that'd be another good question for Dana is like, what's the degree of quarterback runs? I think you'd probably see around 5 a game, maybe a couple under that, because when you do it, it can be very effective. Obviously, you have the advantage in terms of just numbers because your quarterback's running the ball. But as Nebraska has known through the years, as you see all the time in college football, like the risk is when you run your quarterback, one, you're exposing them to injury. That happens, and we've seen that a ton. And it increases the likelihood of fumbles and giveaways and things of that nature. So I think you have to be smart with that. You'll probably see the rushing numbers for Calandria be higher than that. Obviously, some of those will be on scrambles or things like that. But to me, the greatest value of someone with that kind of ability comes on those third and mediums when maybe it is a designed pass, but your first 2 guys are covered. And instead of throwing it away, you're able to tuck it and maybe juke and miss a guy and go down there and get a first down. Like you think about Indiana's championship last year, Fernando Mendoza scrambling for that moment at the goal line, like that was I think defining play of their season, and because he was able to be just mobile enough to make a play when everything else was covered. So I think Nebraska now has a guy like that. Again, you don't want to rely too heavily on that. We've seen the last 2 years when you don't have a mobile quarterback, how that limits you. So I think you just have to pick your spots and keep your guy healthy. And if that happens, Nebraska is going to be able to do things the likes of which we haven't seen probably in a couple of years, especially in some of those third down clutch spots.
Hey, Evan, thoughts on that? I love, when we're talking about quarterbacks. Now let's talk about the depth in that room. Is this like, I feel like maybe on paper, when you look, you got Lateef, a veteran, and Danny Kaelin returning to Nebraska. Do you feel like in for the first time in recent history, maybe you can kind of let it rip at the top spot because of your depth looks to be a little more stable than it has in the past? Because, you go back for years and you go, man, we've had that guy, nothing after, that guy, nothing after. Last couple of years, we're kind of taking care of the 5-star kid and all that. But do you feel like maybe the depth maybe gives you a little more security at quarterback to kind of let it rip at moments?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little deeper than last year when you had a true sophomore and Dylan Raiola and a true freshman and TJ Lateef and then it was pretty deep or pretty shallow, I should say, in terms of what was behind them there. But yeah, I mean, Lateef now has that experience from starting those games down the stretch last year, and he had his moments like that UCLA game. He looked the part, absolutely. And sometimes like when guys struggle right out of the gate, like you almost forget, this was a 4-star kid who excelled, thrived in one of the toughest high school leagues in the country down there in the Los Angeles area. So you expect Lateef's going to get better and faster, and a second year in the system can only be better for him. And so that's a quality backup. There's no doubt about it. And Kalen comes back, obviously familiar with the program, familiar with the coaching staff after being here a couple of years ago. And he comes back and had his moments at Virginia last year when he was the man for them. So, yeah, I mean, I think in college football today, it's harder. It's probably more rare to have that kind of depth because as you see, the talent spreads out. Guys want to play. They want to have the best opportunity to take meaningful snaps. And, a year from now, like that, after the season, that could change. I mean, if Lateef feels like he's progressed enough and Calandra comes back in 27 in a 5-for-5 setting and Trey Taylor comes into the mix too, then maybe you see a guy like Lateef or Kalen look elsewhere for opportunity. But for right now, yeah, I would say it's a luxury that Nebraska has where, of course, you don't want to put your guy at risk, but you do know that if something happens, as tends to in the game of football, like you do have a guy behind your starter who has those meaningful reps in tough environments in the Big Ten, and a guy in Kalen who himself is a former touted prospect with Power League experience too. So yeah, it's I think you'll probably, when you go through the season and you see Nebraska's opponents and maybe the quarterback depth in those other teams, I would think it'll be advantage Nebraska in that regard, probably more often than not this season.
It's Evan Bland with us. And Evan, before we get you out, kind of the news of the day, we'll close with this. Nebraska picked 11th in the Big Ten preseason media poll by Cleveland.com. Want to get your thoughts on it. We talked back in hour one about how you kind of tier out the poll as it looks, and Nebraska's in that third tier of teams, at least how I'd forecast it. What do you make of Nebraska being 11th? What does that mean for them?
Yeah, it's about right? Like you talk about tiers, like it's the top three are pretty obvious in Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana, and then you probably have that next group of teams that you maybe label CFP, like fringe contender types, USC and Michigan, Washington, maybe Illinois, maybe Iowa, those kind of teams. And then, yeah, you've got Nebraska after that. I think Nebraska's in that group of teams with the likes of, Minnesota, Wisconsin, UCLA, maybe where you're trying to certainly make a bowl game. That's probably your floor. And then win a couple more. Can you get to 8 wins? Can you get to a point where the calendar flips to November and you're still in that mix for a CFP spot and you're still playing meaningful games there? Like, I think that's probably about where Nebraska's at. I wrote our little recap on Omaha.com about this poll, and traditionally the media in these preseason polls tends to be optimistic about Nebraska, which means Nebraska tends to fall below where expectations are. So I'll be curious if that trend continues this year, and if people are a little too high on Nebraska at 11. You'd hope not, just based on some of the investments that they've had, but the schedule is more difficult, and the league is as deep as it's probably ever been as a coast-to-coast operation that's as well resourced as it is. So that's the reality for Nebraska right now. They've made a couple bowl games in a row, but I mean, that's at the end of the day, like, they're in the bloated middle class of the league, and the goal is to try to separate yourself from that, try to move up a rung or two, and until you do that, like, that's just going to be kind of where you sit. You're not in the basement, but you're trying to get up to the penthouse, and Nebraska has some work to do there.
Well, Evan, always, man, we're creeping up on the Big Ten Media Days. Fall camp coming up. Be a lot of fun come as we start talking Husker football. And always a pleasure to have you on Monday, my friend. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, appreciate it, guys. See ya.
Evan Blam, on my world. Great stuff from him as always. Take our final break of a Monday and come back with stories that we missed. This one right here. I was with him. We worded that together. I just saw it. I was with him, and we worked through verbiage together. Husker basketball. I got tickets to Sioux Falls for the family this year. They don't know that yet.
Nice.
I need to see how October goes before I fully switch gears and focus on basketball.
I know we're very how quickly that's a great question. Like how quick, because the seasons, football, volleyball, basketball. What's the transition of your carrying?
Mm-hmm. It's
for us, we have to like almost compartmentalize a little bit because what we do for football, all the stuff we talk about, the interviews, the real reaction show, right? So you got to stay focused, but there's also like, you've got like volleyball that's going to jump into the pursuit of the natty. How quickly do you move there?
Yep.
Right. And then how quickly do you this basketball go, okay,
yeah.
Fine, we're here. Or it's like the two, like football, they're okay, let's go. Or then you're like, well, volleyball, then you got volleyball and basketball going together. Or volleyball, football. Like it's like
we kind of talked a little bit last week where it's like when do you really start locking in on volleyball season? It's probably like to me it's end of the year, because does the regular season matter that much for them?
Well, it's gonna be different. And again, I would say there's two perspectives. Boy, that's good talk tomorrow. I'm writing this down for tomorrow. Because I think there's football. Look at that. Different perspectives, whether you're covering it or you're attending it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at us getting a topic for tomorrow. I kind of did. I got excited a little bit, and I usually don't. It's after I got to get to I get excited about events like football the week before. We'll talk about it. We'll be digging into like whatever we're going to dig into. But like that week before, but then I logged in the other day to my account and it shows pending ticket.
The stories we miss. The Morning Hookup.
Welcome back in the Morning Hookup. Special thanks to Evan Bland with My World Herald. Always great stuff coming from him. And as we creep up on Big Ten Media Days coming up, Nebraska taking that podium on Thursday. So we'll see what they got to say. Boy, yesterday, it's kind of something that it flew under the radar screen. Baseball Hall of Fame induction yesterday. I did. I got a chance to watch it a little bit because I have a great Carlos Beltran. Congratulations. Introduced yesterday into the Hall of Fame. Jeff Kent, I don't know, maybe one of my least liked players I ever got to watch. He bugged me. That group bugged me. Kent, Biggio, Bagwell, they bugged me. But again,
he's great.
Great. 14 to 16 first place votes here. The one that got me, maybe one of the better center fielders ever to play the game, Andrew Jones. A lot of good stuff from him coming out of it, talking about there was a cool roundtable they did, and it was Chipper Jones and the pitching staff and how they talked about what it was like having Andrew Jones roam in the outfield for him. How easy it was knowing that they had a guy like that that just roamed the outfield and could make he made every play, man. He made every play. 51 home run season in 2005. 1,900 hits, 434 home runs. Hall of Fame inductions yesterday. Really cool.
Have you ever been to Cooperstown?
I have not. I've been wanting, I here's what I want to do. I'd love to do this. There is a select baseball tournaments that go on out there. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Take your team out there and then collectively go through the whole thing. That'd be awesome.
Just
it's expensive.
The memorabilia that they have out there, though.
Yep. And being a baseball nerd, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'd love to make the trip out someday.
Yep. And it's not just it's the memorabilia, right? You get you see the plaques, but there's all the balls, the everything that's historic.
Speaking of the Hall of Fame,
yep,
we are a little over a week away from the NFL Hall of Fame induction.
Let's go.
Good class. Roger Craig. Oh, come on, man, that's awesome. Drew Brees, Larry Fitz, Luke Kuechly.
Oh boy, some studs.
Should be a fun one. Not to completely take away our topics for next week here at the end of next week with the Hall of Fame game and the induction, but oh boy. How about Roger Craig?
That's great.
Roger Craig.
Roger Craig. Nebraska. That's the highlight.
But another great class.
Stop there. I got one. Keep going. We're looking. Hey, boy, in the NBA, I'm going to get your thoughts.
Oh, LeBron.
Well, no, forget LeBron.
I'm
done.
I got the text from Thew.
I'm done. I did too. I'm done. No, your Nuggets. They matched the Oklahoma City Thunder's fully guaranteed 2-year $21 for Spencer Jones.
That is the Thunder going cutthroat. That is the Nuggets not wanting to pay that, and the Thunder being like, all right, division rival here, we could use a 3-and-D wing. Let's give them an offer sheet that we can afford and make them go sign that thing because it's a bad look to let them walk. That is the Nuggets getting shoved into a locker by the Thunder.
They did.
Oh, Nuggets, you guys are in cap hell? Let's make your life even worse.
Oh, boy.
Put you in a lose-lose situation. You can't let this guy walk, but you also can't afford to pay him that much. What are you going to do? So the Nuggets just got body bagged by the Thunder. That's awesome. Good for the guy. Good for the kid.
Paid.
He's a fun one. He is not a social media user aside from LinkedIn. So he announces all his career moves and whenever he has good games, he just hops on LinkedIn, which is kind of funny. So he's good, fun player.
Yeah.
But Nuggets front office just got shoved into a freaking locker.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that one up for me.
I just had to bring it up. It said Nuggets. How would you like to be an athletic or in any job? Michigan athletic director. Ward Manuel stepping down at the end of 26. A lot of stuff behind all this. But have you seen what he'll be paid? This is crazy. Rob, Katie, come tell me tomorrow you're doing this for us. Be like, show me the door where the check is. He's going to be paid a lump sum of $7.14 million. That's by the rest of his contract, by the way. This is all, by the way, whatever the crazy madness in the athletic department with the Sherrod Moore stuff and everything else going on. In addition, he receives former athletic perks, such as eligible for Michigan tickets to Michigan games, and having golf privileges. They also agree to make a $108,000 contribution to his retirement and pay his attorney fees of $82,000.
Yeah.
You've been asked to leave.
Oh, and also it's going to be that he's going to voluntarily resign.
Oh, yeah.
Is what it's going to officially be listed as.
And he won't be an athletic director or senior athletic advisor for any Big Ten school for 2 years.
That is, hey, thanks for winning us 2 natties. We know you did it in the dirtiest way possible. So we'll take care of you for the 2 natties, but get out.
Now we're going to hire an adult.
Man, if I'm looking at the Ward manual, where is the door?
That's what.
Get me to the door.
They told me where to check you. Show me where the door. Just pay me my check.
You're gonna pay me $1.5 million for the rest of the year, $7 million in buyouts. You can keep on golfing and going to all the Michigan games.
Yeah, you're good.
But with none of the responsibilities of being AD, please show me the door. Get me out of here.
A guy that's not quite been shown the door, but North Carolina football general manager Michael Lombardi has been placed on administrative leave by the university. The leave is effective immediately, but did not disclose any details. There are reports coming out now that there was a former North Carolina football staff member that went to HR.
So I'm sure we'll hear more about this in the coming days. I was wondering. I saw that news. I was right before I left.
The statement said, by the way, it's a front office employee. It says, as a standard procedure with personnel matters, leadership, staff, and student athletes are prohibited from addressing this topic further. No reflection on the merit of whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's on leave. He in trouble. He gone. As well as Belichick will do the same thing. Tomorrow, Robin Washut, Brian Munson will talk Husker sports as well. Have a great Monday. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Catch you on a Tuesday.